Alright, welcome everyone to round 5 of Zenith Online Racing EU tier. This is the Spanish Grand Prix. Just a reminder that even though this is the 6th race on the calendar, it is round 5 for us. We missed 1 week, we'll be making that up later. So yeah, round 5. Good race in store for us today, hopefully. Spain, a track where qualifying is extremely important. It can be very, very difficult to overtake, especially really through the third sector. So sector 1, especially into the first corner, is your best overtaking opportunity. But like I said, very, very challenging to overtake. So qualifying going to be extremely important. We have 15 runners here today. Got an exciting qualifying in store for us. One thing to note about the qualifying, you do have probably the ideal strategy for a lot of these drivers is going to be the one stop from the mediums on to the hards. The soft to hard is possible, can be a little bit more challenging with those making those soft tires last. So looks like a lot of drivers opting for the soft compound, so they will like their odds to pull off the one-stop soft hard in the race today. Looks like RC7 is leading the pack out for his outlap, so we will follow along board with him and get to know this track a little bit. Got a bit of a glitch with the telemetry there, so let me turn that off for now. Looks like it's been fixed, so we're good to go. But like I said, qualifying here is going to be very, very important. Looks like a lot of these people are going to be thinking that they can pull off that soft hard strategy. Don't know what the weather's going to be like, but looks like it's going to be pretty clear for qualifying, so I would imagine clear for the race as well. A couple of really exciting races already this week around here in Zenith Online Racing. I'm sure we're going to be treated to the same for the EU tier today. So as RC's getting his engine modes and everything ready, we will follow along with him for this first lap, get to know the track a little bit. Last chicane, very important to get a good exit. Very easy to invalidate your lap if you run wide on the left there. He does a good job to keep it clean so far. It looks like he might have been pulling over, but it looks like he's good to continue on his lap, as he's not. Looks like to have quite a bit of clear track ahead of him, not going to run into any traffic. Braking late for turn 1. Does a good job riding those curves through the first complex of corners. Opening up the steering here, you can get really wide there, carry a ton of speed. Moving over to the left for braking for turn 4. Does good there. This run wide, you can lose the car on the grass there. Ooh, a big lock up there into the hairpin. But he looks like to save it pretty well. Managed to keep the speed up, braking for what I think is the most challenging corner, and he invalidates. So that's a very tricky corner to get your car through cleanly. He's invalidated. We'll follow along with him anyways. He's braking for the hairpin. Once again, goes in a little bit deep, so he looks like he's pushing really hard to get that lap time early. And as I said before, third sector here, very tight. Not the favorite for very many drivers, this third sector at Spain. It's very tricky, challenging, and quite different than the rest of the lap, which is very fast, a lot of high-speed corners. But his time didn't count, but Zenith was able to follow him through. Maybe got a little bit of some slipstream advantage there. He sets a 16.1 for his first lap on the mediums. I would imagine he's probably going to go up to on the soft tires and try and best that, as Zamoglis goes 15.9 on his first lap. Barton looking pretty good through the first sector so far. Braking late there. He goes purple through sector 1 so far. Looks like he might be running into RC on his in lap. Ooh, as RC goes into the gravel. Hopefully that was just to get out of his way. Hopefully he didn't have any damage or anything. Barton looking pretty clean on this lap so far. We'll see his sector 2 split come up in just a minute, after he takes that blind turn 9, I believe, which is just such a challenging corner. It might be 9, 11. Don't know my corner numbers here, but he has set a 46 or 49.6 through the first 2 sectors. Mitt Romney goes fifth fastest with 17.3. A lot of curve there, but he does a good job to keep the speed up. Gets a pretty good exit. Should be a pretty good banker time for him, I would imagine. He's moving over to the right just to cut that distance down as he crosses the line. It looks like he maybe gave up that lap. So don't know if he was maybe just trying to go out on the softs to get a feel for it, or what his reasons were, but it looks like we've got a little bit of a traffic jam here in the third sector. Let's see if we can find someone who's on board for that. That's Gomez Olvega abandoning his lap going into the pits. Let's see where Fuzz was. He was in the third sector. So he's invalidated his lap. It looks like Andre Sousa's on a flying lap. So we'll follow along with him as he's finishing up that final third sector. Miami did post the fastest lap so far of the session with a 15.8 on the medium tires. It's a very solid lap time. Looks like he got that in the second go-around. Looks like somebody else, looks like Andre Sousa might have slowed up a little bit. That lap time not seeming to reflect the rest of his lap. Bag of Bones has already set one lap on this. That's an invalid lap. Let's see. Looks like Miami was going slowly. A lot of people have done their first runs now, or maybe did a couple laps, because it looks like Miami got 2 runs in on those mediums. Looks like he might be going for a second. He's going slow. I can't decide. I can't tell if that's because he's out of fuel or if he's saving up battery. Looks like it might be fuel. Gina on an out lap on the softs. A lot of other people in the pits making some changes. Looks like Andre Sousa is on an in lap. Barton is entering the pits. Bones is also entering the pits. Puppet Master, who ran a great race last week, looks like he's getting ready to start his lap, so we will keep an eye on him as well. For those of you who watched last week, Puppet Master, pretty comfortable win at the Netherlands Grand Prix. He'll be looking to repeat that performance today. He's on the medium tires, so he's either hoping to get that medium hard strategy, or he's going to just see where this lap time on the medium puts him so far. It looks like some people who are on the soft so far, Andre Sousa, Barton, looks like they maybe purposely abandoned their laps. Maybe they're thinking about taking a run on the mediums. Puppet Master with a great line there through the first sector, getting really wide on entry. He's looking pretty strong through the first sector so far. Does a good job getting the car rotated there, no lockup. Looks like he ran a little bit wide there, but kept it valid. Through the really tricky left-right that's so easy to invalidate, but he does well. Just a lift there, no brake necessary for that blind right-hander. A lot of brake necessary here though, heavy braking all the way down to first gear. Purple through the second sector, so he looks like he's on a very strong lap right now and doesn't look like he's going to have any traffic ahead of him to give him any trouble during this final sector. Really smooth. Let's see how he navigates this final chicane. Got a little bit too much curve. That disturbed the car just a little bit and maybe cost him a tiny bit of time, but still a very strong lap from him, and he goes 15.5, so he puts himself on provisional pole by 0.3 of a second. Great lap from him. Looks like Zamaglis is on a flying lap, so we will follow along board with him. Jinnit looks like he's invalidated his lap. Which McLaren is that behind? It looks like Fuzz behind, who's invalidated. Beck has invalidated his lap, so track limits already rearing their head so far. This track is very easy to pick up time penalties. That was a factor in the Tier 1 race. There was a driver who had 12 seconds of penalties and it almost cost him a podium. So there was, I don't remember exactly where he finished, but yeah, penalties and track limits, definitely something that can be a factor here. So Marcos looks to be pretty clean on this lap so far, but he's coming in, so he wants to see if he can do better. A lot of drivers on coming into the pits or on out laps, it looks like. As Fuzz just set a 15.2, but that was not valid, so he's got the pace there to get ahead of Puppet Master, but just like I said, the track limits here are very, very challenging. Puppet Master looks like he is out of fuel and running into the pits. Miami, he's done a couple lap on those couple laps on those mediums. We'll see if he opts for the softs. Zamagos with a 15.5. Only 9 drivers have time set so far, and we're over halfway through qualifying. That shows just how brutal track limits can be here. Beck on a lap right now on the mediums. I think he might have invalidated his last lap. A little bit of a lockup there, but looks like he has enough fuel for 2 runs. So he's pushing hard here to see what he can do. He's in 6th place right now. His best time is 16.3, puts him about 8/10 off of pole right now. As he gets really wide through the right-hander, he does a great job to save that. Wow, that could have been his session over. He invalidated his lap, but I think he will be okay with that because it means he's able to stay in the session and might be able to better that time later. So, looks like we got both Mercedes out on outlaps going through Sector 1. We have one of the Hasses. It looks like that's Pusco who's on an outlap in Sector 1, and he's just invalidated. Bag of Bones is on an outlap. Adri's on an outlap as well. Looks like Barton's on a flying lap. He's on the soft, so he, if he was going to qualify on the mediums as he invalidates, I was going to say, if he was wanting to qualify on the mediums, you would hope that he would be out there on those right now. He's not leaving himself a lot of time. He was better than his previous lap by a few seconds, or a few tenths through the first 2 sectors. As Zenith's coming around to start his flying lap. We have a Ferrari pulled off in Sector 2. Hopefully that was just to make way for faster cars. Yep, he's moving along, so all good there. Is Zenith getting wide on entry? A great angle. Rides the curb well through turn 2, and then does a good job not running too wide there through that long right-hander. He's found almost 2/10 on his best time. I believe his last time was on the medium, so yeah, he'll be hoping to find quite a bit of time. So far, that puts him about a high 15. Not enough for pole yet. Let's see what he can do to better his time in the 2nd sector. He goes a little bit wide there, and he invalidates, so he is not going to be happy. Let's see what his teammate can do. Zamagos says he's now in the 2nd sector. Shows purple through Sector 1. Those times are not always reliable, so we'll follow along and see what he's got. He takes a pretty similar line to his teammate through that fast right-hander, and he's got a little bit of traffic, hopefully, as he's invalidated as well, so it looks like he might have invalidated on the exit. That was the Red Bull of Gomez who was moving around to make space. So Puppet Master still on provisional pole with a 15.5. It is then Pusco who ran a 15.6 on his soft, so great lap from him. Sorry to have missed showing that. Miami, Zamaglis, Zenith, Gomez, Beck, Lit Romney, Andre Sousa, and Bag of Bones make up the top 10 as they stand right now. Quite a bit of mix between the softs and the mediums. It's like Bag of Bones is on an in-lap, it appears. We'll keep an eye on him. He might be thinking about charging up and giving it another go, but a lot of drivers right now look like they're just kind of either beginning a lap or preparing for their final run. About 4 minutes here. You can cut it a little bit finer. I think some drivers might be waiting for that last little bit of track evolution. They're going to need every little tenth here and there that they can find. RC fancies his chances on the mediums as he's getting his engines all turned up and ready to go for his flying lap. Get really wide on entry there. He does a good job. Can't tell if that was just a lockup or a bit of smoke from the engine, but either way, looks pretty tidy through the first sector so far. He's hoping to, I'm sure, replicate what Pierre Gasly was able to do in his Alpha Tauri earlier today. Not the best line through that corner. It looks like he turned in a little early and had to compromise his line through there. keep an eye on where his time is. Adri's on an outlap. It looks like Romney's on an outlap on the softs, so he's got his engine up. We'll see what he can do. Ooh, a big lockup from someone there. Looks like in the third sector. Zamaglis on his outlap. Janet's still in the pit, so he's either going to be happy with his time or just hoping to get that last little bit of track evolution. Looks like it's RC who's about to cross the line right now. And he goes 8th fastest with a 16.9. He's on the medium tires, and I think that's probably going to be his final time. It's 3 minutes, 2 minutes 45 now. Is going to be probably not enough to get around and get those tires changed and get around again before his flying lap, before the session ends. Lit Romney's found a 10th through the first sector. Let's see what he's able to do through the second sector. He's in P9 right now with a 17.3. He's found another 10th and change through the second sector. He's going to be hoping to get into those 16s. Third sector is going to be really nice for him. Hopefully a lot of time to find. It looks like the Mercedes and a Racing Point each starting their final lap, so we will ride on board with them in just a minute. As Lit Romney gets a pretty good exit. He could have carried a little bit more speed through there, using up all his fuel and ERS, and he goes 16.9, so he just squeezes out RC by about 0.06 of a second, so good job from him. Looks like Jinnit is coming out of the pits for his flying lap. He should have enough time to get around. It's as you can see from the lap times here, probably about a minute 20, minute 25 you would need to feel comfortable on your outlap, and he's got that comfortably now as he's in the first sector. Zamaglis hoping to improve on his 15.9. I believe he's on the soft tires now, braking through the second sector. He's found a 10th and a half. That's not going to be quite enough to get him on provisional pole unless he can find a lot of time through the third sector. Pretty clean through there so far. We're going to be braking late. So important to be rotating the car early and be precise over the curbs there, as he gets a little bit of a wobble as he's exiting. And he goes provisional pole, so he found a lot of time in that third sector, and he goes on pole position provisionally so far, so he's going to be very happy with his time. Looks like Pusko went wide. Doesn't look like he's going to have enough time to set his lap. Looks like Jinnit is beginning the third sector now, so we'll see what he's got in just a minute. Adri beginning his lap. Gomez Ovega on the soft tires. We'll see in just a second if he's been able to improve through the first two sectors. He has found 2/10, so that's going to be putting him into the 15s, probably around 5th or so. As Puppet Master, I believe that was Puppet Master who just set that timer. It might have been Fuzz. Forgive me. For riding on board with Gomez Ovega as he's rounding that final chicane. Gets a lot of curb, but it does a good job to keep the speed up and not invalidate. And as he crosses the line, he is able to go on provisional pole with a 14.9, so a fantastic lap from Gomez Ovega as he's put himself on pole by almost 4/10. We'll see if anybody has a response to that. Jinnit is on his flying lap. Let's see what he's been able to do. He's got a little bit of dirty air from the car in front of him. Hopefully that's not affecting him too much. As somebody, a McLaren has got it all sorts of wrong through there. Looks like that was Adri who might have been pushing a little bit too hard on his flying lap. Let's see what Jinnit's able to do through the final chicane. He's going to be a little bit upset. He's gotten some dirty air disturbed from the car in front of him, but hopefully he's still happy with his time. It is a 15.0, so about a 10th and a half off of pole position. So he was very close to getting fastest lap. Looks like Andre Seuss is diving into the pits, and I believe that is everybody so far. So Couple things to note from qualifying. Puppet Master is in 5th, but on the medium tires. Fuzz in 7th, Miami in 8th, Barton 9th, and Adri in 10th, all starting on the medium tires, so they will have a distinct advantage in the race. They will be able to push a lot harder in that first stint and not have to worry about their soft compound tires falling off like those top 4 runners of Gomez Ovega, Jinnit, Beck, and Zamaglis. So good showing from the Mercedes drivers. 2nd and 4th for them, 3/10 separating them. Gomez Ovega with a fantastic lap, very clean and tidy 3rd sector, and he was able to get on pole position with a 14.9. It is Jinnit in 2nd on the soft tires with a 15.0. Beck in 3rd, Zamaglis in 4th, Puppet Master in 5th on the mediums, Pusco in 6th, Fuzz in 7th, Miami in 8th, Barton in 9th, Adri in 10th. Important to remember, like I mentioned, 7 through 10 all on the medium tire. Just outside the top 10 and 11th is RC with a 16.7. He was about half a second away from getting in that top 10. Lit Romney in 12th, Andre Sousa in 13th, Bag of Bones in 14th, and Mr. in 15th in the other Ferrari. Just a reminder, all the drivers from 11th down to 15th will be able to start on their choice of tire. I imagine most of them will be opting for the mediums or the hards. Drivers in the top 10 will have to stick on those tires. So 1st through 4th, and then Pusco in 6th place are going to be on those soft compound tires. So an exciting race and prospect. I'm going to have a mix of strategies in the top 10. We'll see what those drivers in the top 10 are able to do on the soft compound tires, how long they can stretch those, and how much life they can get out of those. So to run through the order here, it is Gomez in 1st, Jinnit in 2nd, Beck in 3rd, Zamaglis 4th, Puppet Master in 5th, Pusco 6th, Fuzz in 7th, Miami in 8th, Barton in 9th, Adri in 10th, RC in 7th, Lit Romney 12th, Andre Sousa in 13th, Bag of Bones in 14th, and Mr. Rounding out the grid in 15th. So pretty tight top 10 as we are used to seeing here in the EU tier. Really tight, or for those top about 7 to 9 drivers, all within I think about a second of each other, 9/10 or so. So an exciting race in store for us. Hopefully it stays dry. Hopefully we get some nice, good, clean racing. Looks a little overcast, maybe a hint of rain coming. We will wait and see. So just like I hinted, as we got about 20 seconds to go, one stop here is going to be the preferred strategy for these drivers. On the soft compound tires, you can make the soft hard work. The soft medium, medium, or soft medium, soft two-stop is a challenge just because of how hard it is to overtake here, and you do lose quite a bit of time in the pit lane. So one stop is going to be the preferred strategy for these guys today. You can go soft hards. You have to be really kind on your tires in the first stint and then be really comfortable pushing those hards deep into the race. For the drivers on the mediums, they are going to feel a lot more comfortable pushing from the beginning of the race. We will get some information up here. We'll see interval, we'll see position change. We'll get that full track map pulled up. So yeah, I would expect probably around lap 10 or so for those soft drivers to be targeting is kind of the minimum. Medium runners will be able to go a lot deeper into this race, but so let's check what tires everyone's on. Yep, most people. So yeah, it's AWS there is saying two-stop for everybody. if you're on the softs. You can make a soft hard work though, and I imagine a lot of people will try to do that. Looks like everyone outside the top 10 is starting on the medium tires, with the exception of Bag of Bones, who is starting on the hard. So he looks like he might be trying to run deep into this race, and maybe take advantage of a late safety car, or just get some clear air and track position as those drivers on the mediums. Ooh, we have Zenith spinning on the formation lap, so the driver he almost collided with Fuzz might be who I would expect to be spinning on the formation lap. But yeah, I would imagine Bag of Bones is going to be trying to go deep into this race. Medium runners, it's going to be tight. We'll see what those top 4 and Pusko and 6 are able to do on the softs, if they're able to make those work, but might be a bit of a challenge. We will pull the position change up, and hopefully they give us a nice gotta find a better angle than this for the start of the race. I guess not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. They are off and away we go. Gomez looks like he got a pretty clean start out in front. Zenith behind him. Puppet Master in third, really tight from about positions 3 through 7, as looks like Gomez was able to get a pretty clean getaway. We have some bits of carbon fiber falling off of somebody, and it looks like that might have been RC, or it might have been Beck or Zamaglis, who have all lost positions here on the opening lap. We've got Barton and Miami going close side by side. Miami's trying to get around the outside. He goes to the grass, as does one of the Ferraris. So it looks like a poor start for Miami, who's lost 7 positions, and yeah, one of the Ferraris was also caught up in that. So let's get back up to the front and see what's happening. It is Gomez leading from Zenith, Puppet Master, Beck, and Zamaglis. So really tight. A lot of positions jumbled from about 3rd through 5th. Puppet Master got a great start. He's on those medium tires as well, as a reminder. Beck and Zamaglis, I believe, both on the softs. So something to keep in mind as this race unfolds. It's going to be really important, as we have a Haas. Pusko has spun and contact from one of the McLarens, and I would imagine, looks like, I don't think that there was much that he could have done there. He looks like he just spun. Gomez Ovega goes fastest. Kind of a bit of a traffic jam now here through the final chicane, as it looks like one of those McLarens. It is Fuzz, who looks like he has front wing damage. He is coming into the pits. Hopefully everybody else was able to avoid that front wing damage as well. So we've got that our favorite timing glitch now. Hopefully as they all cross the line, will be sorted out. I don't think RC is in the lead, but hopefully, like I said, hopefully that will get all sorted out as we go through it. Is Gomez Ovega leading? Puppet Master in second, so he's also been able to jump. I believe Zenith, all that calamity in the 3rd sector has been tough to follow with all this action and swapping of positions in the front as well. So it is Gomez Ovega, who's got a 1.7 second gap to Puppet Master in second, who's going to be thrilled with the first 2 laps of his race. He's gained 3 positions, and he is on those probably preferred medium tires. Don't know why the blue flags are being shown, but here we are. It is Puppet Master now, you can see the gap has fallen to about 2.1, so he's having a little bit of trouble keeping up with Gomez Ovega, who's in that clear air. Zenith now in 3rd, hoping to stay in that slipstream. If he has any hope of a podium or race victory, he needs to stay close to Puppet Master here. Beck in 4th. Same thing for them, or Zamaglis, from these drivers 3rd through 5th. If they want any chance of a podium or a victory, these first couple laps and staying in that DRS are crucial. DRS here is about the only way to make an overtake down into turn 1, so it's really important to stay within a second of the driver ahead. There's a little bit of a gap to Barton, who's the next driver on those medium tires. Let's throw up that tire information for everyone again. Andre Sousa is pretty close. He's got a gap of a little under a second. To 7th, Adri I believe, was able to avoid the damage. His front wing looks to be in pretty good shape so far. So no issues for him. He's about 7/10 back from Andre Sousa. RC's got a pretty good start on those mediums, and Bag of Bones has been able to take advantage of some of those drivers pitting in front of him, and he is up into 10th. Lit Romney in 11th, Mister in 12th. Miami, who has pitted, he's going to be on those hard tires. I don't think he'll be able to go to the end of the race, but he will probably go pretty deep into the race, I would imagine, and maybe try to switch back onto the soft. Same thing with Fuzz. He's also had to pit because of that front wing damage from the driver who's currently in last, Pusco, who did spin. As we look around to the front, gap starting to emerge. Looks like things are pretty stable at the moment. The gap a little under 2 seconds from Gomez to Puppet in second. Jinnit able to stay in that DRS, but he has opened up a gap to his teammate Zamaglis, so Zamaglis was not able to stay in that DRS from his teammate in third. That gap is about 1.8 seconds. Same thing with Beck. Beck has not been able to stay within that 1 second window to get DRS off of Zamaglis ahead of him, so both of those drivers are going to need to push really hard, and you can see Beck doing that there, almost losing the car over the curb. He's going to be having to push really hard to try to get within that 1 second. We have a yellow flag in Sector 1. Looks like that is the Haas of Pusco, who has spun again, so not a great start to the race for him, but with about 31 laps left to go, or sorry, excuse me, about 28 laps left to go. Plenty of time for him to redeem himself. It is Gomez leading. That gap has stayed pretty constant of a little under 2 seconds to Puppet Master, but as those soft tires start to fall off, I imagine Puppet Master, his advantage will slowly gain as we go on. Closest battle on track right now, I can see, is Andre Sousa, who's 3/10 behind Barton. He's got DRS. Barton takes the defensive line through turn 1. Andre Sousa trying to go around the outside, which turns to the inside, which turns to the outside for turn 3. Great racing from those two drivers to keep everything clean and leave plenty of space as Andre Sousa is trying to go for the over and under there. Does a good job positioning his car well on that inside line, and he gets that move done, so fantastic job from him. Both of those drivers on the medium tires, they're competing for some pretty crucial track position here as Adri is following behind them, so really important for them not to make any mistakes or they are going to be losing probably a couple of positions. So Adri goes a little bit wide there, but it looks like the car was pretty stable over the curbs. RC, that gap has opened up a little bit. He's about a second away. Second and a half away from Adri. Bag of Bones is hoping to get within his DRS as Lit Romney is kind of the end of that little train. Mister in 12th kind of running his own race, and then those drivers who have pitted already. Yellow flag through Sector 3. It is one of the Ferraris. It is Lit Romney. So I don't know what caused that, but he has lost his front wing. He's going to need to come in for repairs immediately. Thankfully, he's not going to have to go around too much of the circuit as he's already in the 3rd sector, and he'll be able to drive into the pits immediately. But he's going to be upset with whatever caused that damage, whether that was a spin on his own or maybe contact with his teammate. I'm not sure. We'll have to look at the race replays afterwards, but he is going to be having to adjust his race strategy quite a bit now, I'd imagine. It is Gomez in the lead. That gap about 1.7 seconds. Pretty consistent with what it's been the last couple laps. Puppet Master in second. Jinnit is not really been able to stay with him. He's actually fallen back within the grasps of his teammate. So crucially, Zamaglis, whether that was team orders or whether that's Zamaglis just having more pace at this particular moment in the race, but he's been able to get himself back within that DRS train. So that's going to help him defend from Beck behind, who's struggling to stay within that 1 second. So some interesting gaps to watch here in the top 5 to see who is able to stay within DRS of who. Barton has had a very good start to this race. Barton has had a good start. I thought that was Bag of Bones for a minute. I thought he'd gained even more positions, but another DRS train here forming from about 6th down to about 9th. So you can see here just how important it is to get that DRS of the car in front, because it can be pretty crucial. Looks like Beck has come in for an early pit stop. He's going to be trying the 2-stop as he goes on to the mediums. So an early call from Beck. He's hoping that he can find something in the strategy to give him an advantage here, as Mr. Picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Track limits already beginning to show how brutal they can be around this circuit. That gap from Gomez to Puppet is down to about 1.2 seconds, so he's closed that gap pretty rapidly over the last lap or so, as Puppet Master's only a 10th off of his best time so far through the first 2 sectors. Yellow flag in Sector 1, and it looks like that is the Renault of Miami, so not sure what happened there, but he has lost his front wing, so race goes from bad to worse for Miami, as he's already had to make one pit stop. He's going to have to make another pit stop now, I would imagine, with that pretty severe front wing damage, and he's not going to have a set of hard tires to go on to. Gomez Olvega jumping in the pits now from the lead. Will be interested to see what tire he goes on. It looks like the medium going on the Red Bull, so he also is going to be trying to run that 2-stop, as Zenith boxing as well for the medium tires. Don't know if he's got a penalty to serve, or maybe that was just a little bit of a glitch on my end, but a couple of drivers opting for that 2-stop. I've been proven wrong. I thought the 1-stop here was going to be the choice for those drivers who were starting on the softs, but they must think that they've got the pace to make that 2-stop work, and maybe with the slightly smaller field here of 15 drivers, maybe it'll be a little bit easier to find that pocket of clear air necessary to make that 2-stop work. We will see how that plays out. It is Puppet Master in the lead here. He's got a gap of about 5 seconds as RC picks up a 3-second time penalty. He's got a gap of about 5.6 seconds to Zamoglis, who's the only driver in the field currently to be on those soft tires, as Pusco, once again, his race has gone from bad to worse, and we have a full safety car. So that's going to play beautifully into Zamoglis' hand. I would imagine that he's going to be boxing immediately. He's already through the 3rd sector. Puppet Master looks like he's coming into the pits as well, so looks like Pusco might have been parked there by the entrance to the pit lane, so he might have had an issue joining the, or he might have had an issue as he was trying to enter pit lane that caused him to retire. Puppet Master and Zamoglis both pitting from positions 1 and 2, so we'll be interested to see where they come out. Zamoglis is going on to the hards, as is Puppet Master, so not only are those two drivers going to be on the hard compound tires, but they are going to be able to go to the end without needing to make another stop, and Puppet Master's retained the lead, so his advantage there at the front was large enough that he was able to pit and come out in front. A very well-timed safety car for him that's going to play beautifully into his race strategy. Bag of Bones in second, who I believe started on those hard tires, so he's still going to need to make a pit stop. Gomez Olvega on the mediums, he's going to have to make another stop as well. He's not going to be able to go to the end on those. So Zamoglis losing out a little bit there. He's going to be a little bit upset. His chance of a race victory now has been slightly compromised by the fact that he came out in 4th instead of 2nd. But he is going to be able to run those hards probably to the end of the race, I would imagine, unless he picks up damage. A little bit of a struggle for Zenith behind him. His teammates on mediums, and he's on the 2-stop strategy, so Zenith's 2-stop has been compromised here, and any of those runners who started on the soft and hoping to go to the 2-stop now, their races have been pretty greatly affected by the timing of this safety car. Had it come out about 3 or 4 laps earlier, it would have been a different story, but now those 2-stop runners, it's going to be a hard ask to pull back the time. They're going to have to not only catch and overtake drivers ahead, but also build up enough of a gap to box and come out ahead, or box and re-overtake them. So anybody who's on a 2-stop now, their race looks to be not quite ruined, but greatly affected. We have quite a few drivers who were on the hards from earlier incidents. Fuzz, for example, had to pit early for damage, and so for Fuzz, this might be a chance where he's maybe willing to roll the dice and see if he can take those tires to the end. It would be a big ask, but this safety car means that he's going to have a chance to be a lot kinder on those, and it could benefit him very well, as we still have 4 drivers in the top 10, who, as we have an Alfa and a Ferrari diving into the pits. But we have 4 drivers in the top 10 who are on the medium, so for a driver like Fuzz or a driver like Mitt Romney, they might be thinking if they can stretch those tires, it could do them a lot of good. We'll take this chance here to view the race director and to see what incidents and penalties have been acquired so far. Lots of warnings for track limits, as we expected. Zenith has picked up a 3-second time penalty, as has Mr., as has RC. RC has picked up another 5-second for a collision. All 3 of those drivers, RC, Mr., and Andre Sousa, have picked up those 5-second time penalties. So those are going to be pretty devastating for their races, as 2 of those drivers already have a 3-second time penalty for track limits. But Zenith, so far, his race, not only with that time penalty, but also with where his teammate came out, his race is going to be pretty shaken up by this. Looks like the safety car is going to stay out for one more lap, I would imagine. Just taking this opportunity to take a breath. It has been a really exciting race so far. And with the advent of this safety car, that is going to mean that there is a lot of people's strategies and races who have been affected. Just checking a the comments here. But yeah, quite a few drivers' races have been affected. Puppet Master has got a pretty clear track ahead of him. He was able to box under that safety car, come out, and retain the lead. So he's going to be very confident of his chances to secure a podium and probably a race victory. Bag of Bones still needs to pit. So there is, let's just see here who the biggest winners and losers so far have been. Bag of Bones has done well. Gomez has lost a few positions. Pretty much everybody from 7th down has been up and down the field. Safety car is in this lap. Yep, only Bag of Bones is yet to pit. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty exciting end to this race. We'll see if anybody is able to challenge Puppet Master out in front, and then as last week, that battle for the other 2 podium positions is going to be fierce, as we have some mix of strategy, mix of running order here. And overtaking here can be very challenging. So for Gomez and Zenith, this restart and overtaking opportunity when the field is bunched is going to be very important, as Gomez gets a very good restart on Bag of Bones ahead. They're not really in the same race, but Gomez looks like he might be trying to overtake down into the first corner. Bag of Bones goes defensive. Gomez goes around the outside, and he makes that move stick through turn 2. So he does a very good job from the restart, getting that position, and he can hunt down Puppet Master, who's in the lead right now. Bag of Bones is going to be vulnerable to the Mercedes behind. We're going to be hunting them down quickly. Zamoglis in 4th, Zenith in 5th, no change of position there yet. Beck in 6th on the medium tires is one of the Mercedes. It looks like Zamoglis had a big lock up there going into turn 5. As they're weaving through the second sector here, reminded that there's going to be no DRS this lap. So that's going to make this overtaking even harder. You can see just how much grip those mediums have. And we'll see if... yeah, but it looks like Zamoglis does let him through, so kind of what we expected there for the teammates to not get in each other's way, as they're on very different strategies today. Beck, excuse me, he saves that. He almost lost the car there going through the third sector. Adri is in 7th. He's hoping if he can close up to Beck and stay within that DRS. If you started on the mediums and haven't pit yet, which I don't think anybody has now, would be your pit window. As we have Barton going up the inside of Adri. Great move there as we have the AlphaTauri of Beck who went through the gravel and now is causing issues for the drivers behind, as Barton had to go wide to avoid Beck rejoining, and that allowed Adri to slip back through and regain that 7th position. So Barton not going to be happy about that. Let's look up ahead. That gap from Puppet Master to Gomez in 2nd is now over 1 second, so he will not have DRS when it gets activated next lap. Yellow flag in Sector 2. Looks like that is the Ferrari who's lost a front wing. So a tough day for Ferrari is more damage, another front wing replacement necessary. Mitt Romney hoping that he can run those hard tires to the end and maybe sneak up into the points. Miami ahead of him. There's a pretty long train from Beck in 6th. Let's take a look behind him. You can see all those drivers. Looks like Jinnit was able to get by Bag of Bones down this main stretch. Let's see if Bag of Bones is going to try to go up the inside again. Doesn't quite have it. And Bag of Bones is just going to have to stay in 4th there. So he's been on those hard tires for 13 laps. He started with them on full fuel at the beginning of the race. I think Jinnit's mediums are going to come out on top in that battle without too much trouble. But there is a big train forming from Barton in 7th to Miami down in 11th, so that fight for those final few points positions is going to be pretty fierce through to the end of the race. Gap up ahead at the lead is still pretty stable, about 1.2 seconds just outside of that DRS range. We'll see if Gomez is able to close that up at all. He's so close. He's just pushing to get that final 10th, but it's going to be a challenge, as we've seen Puppet Master. And that Romney's lost part of his front wing. He lost all of his front wing. So once again, a bad day for Ferrari. He's gone from bad to worse. As another safety car comes out, so this might have bailed some of these drivers out. This Gomez and Jinnit, this might be their a perfect opportunity for them to save their race, as they're going to have another chance to dive into the pits here and get a cheap pit stop. So for a lot of drivers who felt their race might have been ruined by that first safety car, this second safety car might just give them an opportunity to get some of that strategic advantage back if they're able to make their second pit stop now during the safety car. So it is Puppet Master out in the lead. I would not expect him to come into the pits because I don't think a set of mediums would be able to go to the end here. It would be a big ask. Potentially he would, but he'll be able to save quite a bit of life in those tires through the rest of the races. Looks like we have a car stopped on track, or maybe that's just the safety car. Yep, that's just the safety car. So I don't expect Puppet Master to be diving into the pits here. I would expect pretty much everybody else in the top 10 who is on the softs, or on the mediums, excuse me, to dive into the pits. So Gomez has come into the pits. I would expect Jinnit to be diving in as well. Bag of Bones, who's been making his first pit stop now, his strategy's been slightly affected by this, as he's going to now be forced to stretch the mediums to the end of the race. Beck has chosen not to come in and pit, so he might be thinking there'll be another safety car later on, or he might be trying to stretch those mediums all the way to the end, which I think would be beyond their capability. But is Puppet Master out in front, but the gap that he was able to build over the drivers behind is now going to be all but eliminated, as Zamaglis is on the same strategy as him. We saw both of those drivers pit during the first safety car. They were running 1 and 2. They came out running 1 and 4, but now they're going to be running 1 and 2 again. So Beck has chosen not to pit. An interesting call from him. I would have really expected him to come in and fit those hard tires to run to the end, but he might be thinking that there's going to be another safety car, or maybe he's got some other trick up his sleeve. Adri is in 4th, so he's benefited from this safety car. As he's gained 6 positions, as has RC behind him, and Andre Sousa has gained 7. So the couple of big winners from this safety car have been Adri, RC, and Andre Sousa. Gomez, Jinnit, and Bag of Bones have struggled a little bit from this. Jinnit thinking the mediums are going to last, same with Bag of Bones, and same with Fuzz, who's come in and boxed for the medium tires. So mediums to go to the end of the race here can probably happen. Ooh, as Lit Romney picks up a 3-second time penalty and has retired as well. So tough day for him. As Spain claims another driver. Imagine, hopefully this will be the last lap the safety car's out. Love to see these drivers get to racing again. But like I said, a very interesting call from Beck to choose not to pit there. I would expect pretty much every driver who can to take advantage of that, maybe not free pit stop, but very, very cheap pit stop under the safety car. Makes sense for the 2 leaders who are on the hards not to pit, but I would expect Beck, who will be thinking he'll need to make another stop, to take advantage of that under the safety car. So it's going to be interesting to watch those drivers on the medium tires in 8th, 9th, and 10th, see what they can do against the drivers ahead on the slower hard tires, especially 4 through 6, as those hard tires are already a little bit worn and will continue to wear as they're going to be having to push extra hard to stay close to their rivals in front. So the safety car is coming in this lap, so Puppet Master will be slowing the pack up as they bunch up, and then he will pick his moment carefully to get going again. It's going to be a crucial restart. This could be the moment that he secures his victory, and if Zamoglis is able to jump in at the restart here, this second safety car hurt him the first time. This could give him a chance if he's able to get a good restart here and put pressure on Puppet Master, could put him in position to take the race victory. So an incredibly important restart coming here, not only for this battle for first and second, but as you look down from about 7th through 10th for those drivers who've pitted underneath this safety car, to see if they can make up any positions. Puppet Master gets a pretty clean exit, but Zamoglis is in his slipstream. Both drivers will have plenty of ERS, as one of the Mercedes Jinnit has spun off in the final corner, so his race has been taking another blow. Puppet Master able to lead okay. Gomez Vega picks up a 5-second penalty for ignoring a yellow flag. I don't know if I've seen that penalty yet on F1 2020, but we have seen it now. Zamoglis within a second as yellow flags. RC has retired, so not sure what happened down the order there. But RC, ooh, looks like he's picked up a lot of damage. Both racing points look like they've been mixed up in something. So don't know what happened at the beginning of Sector 2 underneath this safety car restart, but RC's been retired, and both of the racing points have been greatly affected by that incident as well. Jinnit picked up another 3-second time penalty, so not a great race for him. From that restart, though, Fuzz has been able to move up to 8th, so a good restart from him. Miami's still running in 7th, and for Andre Sousa, who's running in 5th right now on those hard tires, he's going to be really happy with the position he's in. Looks like Beck has dropped down. I don't know if he picked up damage or if it was just a tough restart for him, but that call to not pit under the safety car might come back and hurt him. And Puppet Master has picked up a 3-second time penalty, and that could be crucial as his gap to Zemoglis behind is about 1.4 seconds. I don't believe Zemoglis has a penalty, and now Puppet Master from the lead has picked up a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits from multiple warnings. It's going to greatly affect his mindset going forward. Now he's going to have to be really pushing the rest of this race to build that 3-second gap if he wants to hold on to this race victory. And Zemoglis now knows that if he can push and get in the DRS of Puppet Master ahead, he would be in a position to win this race. I mean, if he stays within that 3-second gap, he'll be happy, but staying within the DRS is going to make that job even easier. Puppet Master is able to navigate that final chicane so well, using his overtake well through the final corners. Zemoglis has been using up a lot of his battery. Doesn't look like he has quite the raw pace of Puppet Master through the first couple sectors, but he does have the benefit of the slipstream, and if he can find a few more tenths, 4 tenths, 5/2 second or so, he'll have the advantage of DRS as well. But that gap is going to be something that's going to be crucial to watch in these closing 13 laps. It's going to decide the race victory here, it looks like, unless Zemoglis picks up a time penalty. Adri running in third right now. He's in a great position. I believe he started this race in 7th or 8th, so he's going to be really happy. Yeah, he's gained 7 positions so far in the race. Gomez Ovega still in the top 5, but has just struggled a little bit. He looks like he might be lining up a move on Adri. He's on hard tires as well, as Andre Sousa picks up a time penalty. So, like I said at the beginning of the race, time penalties here can make or break your race. And for a couple of these drivers in the midfield, it might cost them a couple, 3 positions. Puppet Master has been able to extend that gap a little bit. It's about 2.3 seconds now, but he's going to need to get that gap above 3 seconds and hold it there over the course of these next 13 laps. So that's the fastest lap, so he's pushing hard now to extend that gap and not give Zemoglis any chance to get within DRS. Gomez Ovega using the DRS, using all his overtake, cutting back across before the braking zone. He's able to get that move done. Adri still will be happy that he is in 4th. If he's able to stick in that DRS, he's going to be even happier, and Andre Sousa behind him has a time penalty, so even if he gets overtaken by Andre Sousa, if he can stay close, he will retain that 4th position. So Adri's in a fantastic position right now. Zemoglis not looking like he's able to quite keep with the pace of Puppet Master right now, as Puppet Master has extended that gap now to just as I say it now, over 3 seconds. So unless there are more time penalties acquired to change up the order, as Beck picks up a 3-second time penalty. But as they stand right now, Puppet Master, despite the 3-second time penalty, would still win this race. Zemoglis in 2nd, I don't believe, has any penalties. He's got a gap of a little over 2 seconds to Gomez Ovega in 3rd position for that final podium, who's going to be having to hold off Adri in 4th. Adri with a great race so far. Andre Sousa does have a time penalty as well in 5th. Beck has one, and Beck's going to need to make another stop. So not a great race from Beck so far, but there's still, as we've seen with the 2 safety cars, anything can happen, as he's going to be making a move down the inside of Andre Sousa. That was pretty clean job from him. Down the rest of the order, Miami's done a good job recovering from some early struggles in this race. He's on the hard tires now. Fuzz has once again done a good job recovering from some damage he picked up to a car who spun out. He's running in 8th place right now, so he will be hoping he can maybe move up another couple positions and gain a few more points. Jinnit, despite a spin at the safety car restart, is back up in 9th, and he might consider pitting and trying to get that fastest lap. Lister in that last points paying position right now, Barton in 11th, and Bag of Bones in 12th. So Bag of Bones had to make that other pit stop after the safety car restart, so his race has been affected quite a bit. Hopefully he is able to get back on track. We might see him pitting and trying to take a fastest lap point away from one of the drivers in the top 10, given the position he's in right now. So it is Puppet Master in the lead. His gap is extended now to almost 5 seconds, so he showing his pace, getting to flex his muscles a little bit with that clear air ahead. And Miami, who had just picked up a time penalty, is going to need to try to build up that gap. Andre Sousa also has a time penalty, so Fuzz, if he can stay in that position right now, would be finishing in 6th place ahead of both Andre Sousa and Miami, as I believe both of them has penalties, and I do not think Fuzz does. So once again, you can see how time penalties here can work against you if you're Miami, that 3 seconds costing you a position. But for Fuzz, if you're able to keep it clean, this is a great example of how that can gain him, that might gain him 2 positions or more. So a little train of 3 going here as Barton picks up a time penalty, so his race continuing to have a few struggles. Andre Sousa might have a problem or some damage because he's going awful slow. He's been overtaken by a couple of cars now, and it looks like his front wing's pretty well intact, but there might be another problem or something going on. But he's not been able to quite keep up that pace he had in the earlier stints. Maybe he's just been saving up a lot of batteries. He's got almost 60%. Fuzz looks like he almost took a lunge there. He thought about it, pulled out of the slipstream right before the braking zone, but looks like he decided to wait and try another time. That's a tight battle. Miami, Adri both pushing hard to catch up to Beck, who is in 4th position. So let's get that tire information back up there for you. Gomez Ovega on those newer hard tires is catching Zamaglis in 2nd, so that's going to be something to watch as well, that gap. Because Zamaglis, like Puppet Master, has been on those hard since the first safety car. I believe Gomez boxed and put those on under the 2nd safety car, if I'm not mistaken. So he's on those younger tires, which especially in these closing 8 or so laps, is going to be pretty. That advantage might really start to show. Puppet Master has gone and set the fastest lap again, so he is just loving that clear air, and he's going to be praying that there are no more safety cars. A safety car from here on out would hurt him quite a bit with that 3-second penalty. Beck's still probably going to have to make another stop. I'm surprised he hasn't come in already. 17 laps on the mediums is quite a bit, especially knowing that there's 8 more laps to go. So he's going to have to put in quite a stint on those if he's hoping to last to the end. Would love to have his tire information up right now. Adrian 5th on the hearts. Looking pretty good. Miami close behind. Fuzz is still not able to find a way past Andre Sousa. So maybe Andre Sousa just choosing to deploy his battery at different times, or he's just found a little bit of pace. Not quite sure what was happening there, but he looks to be going backwards quickly and has recovered. So good job from him. Gomez very close to Zamaglis, and he's overtaken him down into the first corner. Got caught up in looking at some of the other gaps down the field and didn't even notice how quickly that was closing. So Gomez able to take advantage of those newer hard tires and has gained 2nd position here. I believe he has a time penalty, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to check, but I don't want to miss anything else, so I guess we'll have to wait and find out in a few laps. Yeah, if Zamaglis is able to stick in the DRS here, he's used up a lot of battery trying to stay ahead there, but that gap to Beck in fourth is about 2.5 seconds, and Beck looks like he's really struggling on those tires. He's having to be very gentle around the circuit. And he's just picked up a 3-second time penalty. I believe that's his second, if I'm not mistaken. And he's continuing to stay out, so I would imagine that if he was going to box for the hards that he would have done, or box again, he would have already done it. Miami very close to the back of Adri right now. We'll see if he's going to make a move. Down the inside of turn 1, who's going to brake later? Looks like neither of them. Continue to go side by side, a little bit of contact, and Andrew just had to back out of that move as his car was starting to get a wobble on, and he had to just back out a little bit. So Miami able to gain that position, and that might be one that I would have liked to have seen there on board, as that could have to be a very tight battle through the first couple quarters there. Adrian 6th now. Teammate Fuzz behind. On some older medium tires that are going to be starting to feel the wear about now. Beck is somehow holding on to his medium tires. It looks like now, like I said, it looks like he's made the decision that he's just going to run those to the end. Because if he was going to box, you would have expected him to do that already, as Zamoglis with a big lockup going into the final chicane, but he was able to get through without disrupting the car too much. Puppet Master is just kind of checked out in the lead. His gap to second is now 7 seconds. Miami is diving into the pit, so I don't know if he maybe collected damage from that incident with Adri, or if he's just coming in to fit on some soft tires. Nope, just boxing for soft tires, so a bit of an interesting call there with only 5 laps to go. Would have expected him to maybe continue to stick it out, but let's see if he fancies a point for fastest lap here. So he was able to pit and still come out in the top 10, so not a terrible call from him, especially if he's trying to go for fastest lap, but he gave up quite a bit of track position there, so it's a little bit surprising. He might have picked up a puncture or something else, I'm not too sure. I'll have to get the debrief from him after the races. The McLarens are going very close here, side by side. Let's ride on board with Fuzz and see if he's able to make anything stick. No pressure from Fuzz behind, so he can put all of his attention on his teammate ahead, as there's a yellow flag in Sector 2 and a VSC, so his pursuit of his teammate is going to be having to put to an end, as it looks like Barton has retired. So let's see if we can get an onboard here to see Barton's car through, I believe, turns 7 and 8. Is this left, right? But it looks like he might have just, gotten a wobble on, or gotten disturbed by the curbs there and lost control of the car and lost his front wing. Beck taking this opportunity to pit, as is Adri, so a little bit of an interesting call from him to give up some track position, but he's going to put those soft tires on, as is Beck ahead. But Fuzz up into 4th position, so he has done fantastic here. He was last at one point, or close to it, after, and Beck has picked up a drive-through penalty, so Beck's race, it's been one thing after another, unfortunately for him today, but great job by Fuzz. He's not only gained 3 positions, but this was after he was very far down the order after the first couple laps because of damage he picked up from Pusco, who spun in the 3rd sector early in this race. I believe that was Andre Sousa, who they just flashed up that he has another time penalty as well. So podium as they stand at the moment, it is Puppet Master, Gomez Olvega in 2nd, Zamoglis 3rd. I don't know if Gomez has a penalty or not. We'll have to wait and see as they finish the race, but if Gomez does have a penalty, there's that half a second, 6/10 or so between him and Zamoglis that he's going to be trying to build that gap to over 3 seconds if he wants to hang on to 2nd place. Fuzz in 4th, running a pretty solid race. He's not under too much pressure from behind, especially with Andre Sousa, who has a couple time penalties, and I believe Jenna does as well. So even if Fuzz loses those positions on track, he should still be on course to finish in 4th, as Miami has picked up a fastest lap with a 17.4, so a good lap from him. Let's see if Beck or any of those other drivers who pitted for softs are able to match that time. It'd be really interesting to watch as Andre Sousa and Zenith, who I both believe have time penalties, how that factors in. Beck with quite a few penalties. I would imagine that Adri will be finishing above him. Miami now, I mean, there's with only 11 drivers, all save one are going to get points here today. It'll just be a matter of how many. So Gomez, up in second, has been able to extend that gap to Zimaglis in third by over 3 seconds now. So even if he does pick up 1 3-second time penalty, it will not be coming back and costing him any positions yet. Once again, I'm not even sure if he does have a time penalty or not. As Beck sets the fastest lap, and looks like Zenith making a little bit of contact there as he was making that overtake happen. So couldn't see that from his perspective, but Andre Sousa with a little bit of contact on the side. Would be interesting to watch that one back later and see what Zenith's perspective on that was. But it is Zenith now up into 5th as he got by Andre Sousa. Beck in 7th, who has quite a few time penalties. I would not expect him to finish the race in that position. So maybe not the thrilling conclusion that we might have expected based on how close these drivers were running to each other throughout most of this race, but as Puppet Master is on the penultimate lap, his gap to second is now almost 8 seconds. He's looked really comfortable after that second safety car restart. Zimaglis had that opportunity. He wasn't second at the time of that safety car restart. He just wasn't able to capitalize on it. As Adri has picked up a 3-second time penalty, so that could be affecting his finishing position as well. As Beck has come into the pits, don't know if he's going to be retiring or if he's just looking to maybe fit on another set of tires and go for one more lap. I'm not quite sure, but that battle for fastest lap is going to be an interesting one. Fuzz has had a great recovery drive, it must be said. He's done really well to finish, like I said, after I think he was in 14th after lap 2 or 3, but he stayed really patient through the safety car periods and has now found his way up to 4th place. Those medium tires are going to be not feeling fantastic as he's rounding the corners in the 3rd sector to start his last lap. Zenith in 5th had his race disrupted by the safety car a little bit. Andre Sousa has picked up some time penalties, has been in traffic for a lot of this race, so we'll see where he's able to finish once those all get sorted. Adri was running higher up, decided to box later on, as Miami's looking desperately for a way to get by, and he does so. An unconventional overtake, but an overtake nonetheless, as Miami was able to get by Adri there in the 3rd sector. Beck has had a bit of a challenging race today, quite a few time penalties. Unfortunately, timed safety cars for his race. Bag of Bones has done well to recover from I believe a front wing change that he had. But it is Puppet Master who's been in control of this race from the off. He was started in, I believe, 4th or 5th on the medium tires. And as soon as he got up into 1st, the race did not look in doubt. So it is Puppet Master rounding the final chicane here. He is going to take the race victory, back-to-back wins for Puppet Master. A great job from him. He is your Spanish Grand Prix winner. Gomez rounding the final corner now to finish in 2nd. I believe that is where he will stay despite time penalties and everything, as there's a yellow flag in Sector 3. Zemoglis comes home to finish 4th. Fuzz with a finish 3rd, excuse me, round out the podium. Fuzz with a great race. Recovery to finish 4th. Jinnit in 5th. Andre Sousa in 6th. Miami crossing the line now in 7th. Adri 8th. He's going to stay there. Beck in the final chicane now to finish in 9th place. We'll see if he's going to stay there or if he's going to lose out to Bag of Bones, who is rounding. He's picked up a 5-second time penalty, so we'll see if he's able to stay in the top 10 or not. I know he's got quite a few penalties. He's able to stay in 10th for the moment as Bag of Bones finishes 9th. And our final driver now crossing the line. Thrilling race from start to finish. Those last couple laps got a little bit had time to breathe after what was a very frantic first about 25 laps. A ton of action up and down the field for a track that does not produce a lot of good overtaking naturally. There are still quite a few good overtakes and a very interesting race from the strategy perspective. Puppet Master is your race winner today for Williams. Gomez in 2nd, Zemoglis in 3rd. So a good race from those 3. Congratulations to those podium finishers and for all the drivers in the top 10 today. It was Miami who picked up fastest lap, so he'll get that extra point. He does finish 7th. You can see there a lot of drivers. Zemoglis, Fuzz, Bag of Bones, the only drivers to finish the race and not pick up any time penalties for one reason or another. So good job from them. We'll take a quick look at the race director. Yep, quite a few penalties as we got on in that race. So might be the most tire strategies or tire compounds I've ever seen used in a race. But congratulations to our podium finishers, Puppet, Gomez, and Zemoglis. Good race once again from the EU tier here, and yeah, it's been a fantastic race. Very entertaining from start to finish. Next week it will be the Monaco Grand Prix, so if you thought there was a few incidents and retirements and time penalties today, I imagine there'll be even more. Maybe front wings taken next week, but make sure you tune in next week, same time, and we will see you next week for the Monaco GP.